Many students either press too hard or too lightly with pencils, crayons, markers, and paintbrushes. It's important to know how hard to squeeze a bottle to get the needed amount, or how to press your pencil down when shading to get the desired value. In painting, it's good to know how hard to press the brush bristles to create line weight variation. Unfortunately, many students only know one pressure, and usually that's too much pressure. Too much glue squeezed out everywhere, very dark shading, and thick globs of paint. Let's take a look at some strategies. Hi art teachers, I'm Dani Dermer, an occupational therapist who works with children of all ages in Maryland. Understanding and being able to control the pressure of a tool is really important in the art room. To help them find the right pressure, provide them with a variety of paper textures to encourage them to experiment with different pressures and see the effects. Keep a few different types of sandpaper on hand to put under paper to help give a tactile and visual cue for pressure. This sandpaper provides a lot of sensory feedback, so if they're pushing too hard, the paper tears more easily, and if they're using too little pressure, this helps naturally increase that pressure by making the writing utensil catch the texture and increasing the depth of the mark. Another technique is to switch up the surface. Have students draw on a slant board or a vertical surface like an easel or a whiteboard. The novelty of the surface allows for experimentation and repositioning of the wrist and hand, therefore modifying the grasp pattern on the utensil that they're using. This often directly impacts pressure gradation, and alternate positions may work better for some students compared to a standard tabletop. Use crayons and practice making dashes, getting darker and darker until they can see and feel the waxy texture left on the paper. Then we can see this one is too light, this one is too dark, and this one is just right. Sometimes that visual verbal cue can really hit home. Modifications for students using too much pressure include using softer or mechanical pencils to teach students to adjust their pressure to avoid breaking the pencil tip, pencil grips to distribute pressure, and including hand strength activities or exercises as a warm-up. So this is things like squeezing a stress ball 10 times, using clothespins to pick up a couple materials and move them over, playing with resistive putty to reduce tendency to press hard. All of these will help build those skills and again, give that tactile input. Modifications for students using too little pressure include adding weight to pencils by either adding something like a counting bear or weighted item over the eraser, using vertical surface to alter that wrist position and grasp pattern, using pencils that would show up darker, and using darker paper so that they have to produce darker work in order to see it. Activities directly targeting hand strength are also a great way to build pressure gradation skills for students who like to use too little pressure, as they often have weaker hands. The pressure control strategies also apply to painting. To help students control the amount of pressure used on their paintbrushes, try any of the strategies previously mentioned, as well as providing some visual models and verbal cues. These can be things like barely touch the paper with the tip of the brush to produce a fine line, pushing harder so the bristles bend will produce a thicker line, and smashing the bristles too hard will damage the brush. Students have difficulty feeling this and controlling this, so using the palm of your hand to demonstrate and practice the pressure on paintbrushes can be really helpful to see how flexible and delicate the brushes are, while also providing that tactile feedback of feeling the pressure elicited when working on that artwork. When using glue bottles, students often struggle with controlling the amount of glue that comes out. One effective method is to have them practice squeezing a small sponge to help clean up or prepare materials, or squeezing a stress ball 10 times in each hand to warm up the muscles before starting on their artwork. This helps develop the muscles needed to control pressure. Practice the action of squeezing a sponge with different games or activities to see how much liquid comes out, which can be done when cleaning up paints, washing materials, or as a game to mix colors in clear cups, needing the right amount to create the intended color. Additionally, adding verbal cues with visual elements such as ... not a lot, gently squeezing and releasing the bottle to apply small glue dots rather than continuous streams can also be helpful. If you have students who can't seem to figure it out with the verbal or visual cues, modify the task by using a glue bottle that has a controlled tip that allows for a smaller opening. You can also try liquid glue pens or roller balls for those without strength to squeeze the bottle, or who are constantly over squeezing and pressing too hard on glue sticks or bottles. Another way to practice is using a glue bottle to cover specific marker dots. This will help increase pressure and control, so we want them to just put those dots where those marker dots are. Turn this exercise into an art project by having students trace line designs with a glue bottle to make a batik design on fabric or paper. How else are you you seeing this issue impact your students in your art room? Do you have any other strategies that you've been using to support them? Tell us in the comments below, and make sure you like this video if it was helpful and subscribe so that you don't miss other tips. Bye!